Now that is how you make a Last of Us movie. Hey movie fans! So Logan is essentially an end of an era movie with both Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman no longer reprising their roles as Professor X and Wolverine respectively. Now these guys have been playing those characters since 2000, so they've been going at it for a long time. How is this final installment in their respective turns as these characters, their last appearances? As we know, there's rumor that Hugh Jackman might come back for an appearance in Deadpool, but after seeing this, I want this to be his last appearance because it was such a good send-off to the character. This movie is amazing. It's wow. I walked out of the theater going, this is something special. Now, there's so many good things to talk about that I'm trying to think of where to begin. Now, the story takes place much further in the future. It kind of retcons a lot of things in the X-Men universe so far. It's very much just a Logan story. No other X-Men really. There's reference to mutants and there are other mutants, but it's mostly just a Logan story. It's very grounded in reality. It's very gritty and realistic. And that's one thing I really liked, but was hard to watch at times for all the right reasons. That it's a very depressing movie. It very much feels like an old western in both the way it's shot and the way it's presented. It's very good in that aspect. It's very depressing. Like, some things are genuinely hard to watch, but that's because you've grown to care about these characters over 17 years. But the actors themselves take it to this whole new level of Hugh Jackman could have easily just phoned in other performances. Wolverine, Patrick Stewart could have just phoned in another performance as Professor X. But both those characters in particular get this whole other side of them as they're a lot older, more world-weary, and they just are kind of fed up with the world. They're two grumpy old men, one being considerably older and grumpier than the other with Professor X, who is more comedic this time around than others. Like, he just does not care anymore, and he has no filter anymore, which was really entertaining. But for every funny scene you get with Professor X, you get an absolutely devastating scene as, given that he is older, there's a lot of really hard stuff to watch with him, with Wolverine taking care of him and getting him medication, and really his mind is not what it used to be, and he's just a frail old guy, and it's really hard to watch, but in all the right ways that they do it incredibly well. Then you have Wolverine, who also is sick and tired of life, and he's just angry and bitter at everything. He just does not want to be alive anymore, but he can't really die, but he is dying. Without going into too many details, there's something going on with Wolverine, and he's content with it until something happens. A girl comes along and they need to get this girl to another spot. I'm not going to go into the whole logistics there, but it's an escort mission movie. They need to take girl from point A to point B to accomplish goal. And in that, you have one of the best, not just comic book movies, but one of the best movies of the year. This is something special. Like, wow. I don't know if I've seen a more recent film that's better paced. Like, this has everything that I wanted in a good Wolverine movie. You get berserker rage a couple times of Wolverine just losing it and going nuts, and it's wonderful. He just wastes people, like claws to the head, decapitation, the most brutal Wolverine violence we've seen yet. But then once that cools down, you get long stretches of character interactions, which I was not expecting whatsoever, but it gets you more invested in the action, so that way when you get to the climax and a whole bunch of fighting happens and stuff happens, you're more invested and you're like, yeah, you get that. And it's really well done and well paced, but it gets you more invested in the characters that you already loved and brings in some new ones that you're like, I can't get attached to you. The girl that I talked about previously, whew, was she a good addition to this. Without going too much into detail, she's very much like Wolverine. They say that in the trailer. She's very similar to him in a lot of ways, including temperament and fighting style. She goes off, and when her and Wolverine fight together, it's quite entertaining. But when they're not fighting, there's still this great father-daughter-esque dynamic that's reminded me a lot of Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us, and made me want a Last of Us movie even more, because it's essentially the same exact premise, just minus mutants. It was really, really well done, and last third of the movie, from the climax to the resolution to all the characters, it's incredibly well done, and it's one of the best resolutions that I could have asked for both Professor X and Logan's Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. It was just all around a great movie with great pacing, incredible action, and violence that was just perfect for Wolverine that we've been wanting to see for a long time. But when there's not action, you're still rooted and invested in the characters because of how far you've been with them. But they really delve into the characters more so than this than any previous one, and I absolutely love the Wolverine. My only negatives were the villain was a little bit there's one villain that you get for about half of it, and then they switch off the roles of who the main villain is, and he's just The first villain was okay. The villain's undefined, really. There's a couple different, but overall, it's an amazing movie, and I'll actually give the Wolverine a 9.5 out of 10. It's amazing. It's incredible. It's a wonderful send-off to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Patrick Stewart's Professor X. This is it for them, but they couldn't have ended on a better note. Well, what did you guys think of the Wolverine? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you see and want to see more, subscribe to the channel, or find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Uncharted Media. Stay sharp, movie guys and gals.